I think, considering that there is still a motion for reconsideration on the positions taken by the House of Representatives, and there is a pending case, then they would prefer, yes, kulang daw ng 12. But kidding aside, it would be sub judice.
Okay. Anyway, that's all, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Sponsor. Thank you for the Justices of the Supreme Court, the Court Administrator, and to all the Justices present here today. Thank you very much.
Senator Lord.
Thank you very much to the good Senator from San Juan. Maraming salamat. Safe na ako.
Safe mga tanong mo. Anyway, Mr. President, next to propound hopefully just 2 questions. She promised me just 2 questions today. Is no other than our Vice Chairman of the Committee of Vice Chairman of the Committee on Appropriations, and our former Senate President Pro Tem, our champion of the environment, no other than Senator Legarda.
Senator Legarda is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was going to skip asking questions because the Majority Leader requested me not to ask, but I miss the esteemed members of the Judiciary because I, just like the Chair now, defended their budget for quite a while, but it was a different batch of members of the Judiciary that was more than 10 years ago. And so my questions, as always, will be on important issues and something that could help perhaps in giving clarity to the budget or even increasing it. And my first question will be on critical funding for digitalization. May this representation know how will the Judiciary secure the restoration of critical funding for digitalization, for new court positions and infrastructure to strengthen accountability and access to justice amid substantial budget cuts and persistent capacity gaps. I say this as the Judiciary has its 2026 budget with significant funding shortfalls that jeopardize ongoing reforms in its ability to deliver timely justice. From the 105.76 billion, correct me if I'm wrong, it requested, only 67.945 billion was approved, resulting in a 36% reduction that leaves digitalization, new court positions, and infrastructure far behind the operational needs. I could go on and on and on, but these are some of the most affected areas from the budget cuts. In fact, I know that the Judiciary is seeking the restoration of 21.31 billion to fill thousands of court positions, to strengthen the office of the Judiciary Marshals, and to complete priority halls of justice. This is a very long list. That is my first question, Mr. President. And could you kindly answer it, especially with regards to digitalization, which is very important. Thank you.
Thank you for the question regarding Yes, thank you for the question. Based on the committee report, we have actually added sa request ng Judiciary Justice Sector Convergence Program from the House, from the 2026 gap, it was 175,819,000. We have recommended an additional 150 million, which will then which is now reflected in the committee report, a total of 325,819 for the Justice Sector Convergence Program, which includes e-filing, e-services, the issuance service of court processes, enable electronic submissions, as well as warrants and subpoenas. That's one of the increases that we are proposing. This will likewise include securing interagency transmissions with the DOJ, DILG, and other national justice information partners.
Thank you for that, Mr. President. May I be informed whether the cut of 36% from the proposed 105 billion is accurate? That only 67.945, just to be...
Yes, that is accurate.
Yes, may we know which of the many aspects will be most affected? Is it the new court positions? Would it be the strengthening accountability? Would it be digitalization? If it's more than 1/3 of the budget, may we know which is the most important, if you would put it in the order of priority for restoration of the budget?
Yes, according to the court administrator, the most important would be the personnel services because it would cover lump sum amounts for the creation of new positions. Specifically, the Office of Regional Managers under the court administrator, 375 positions. Unified Legal Aid Service Office, which provides additional legal assistance and access and training. Office of the Judiciary Marshals, this is actually 1,000 positions that will be new positions. Social Service and Counseling, 65 positions. So, Office of the Bar Confidant, Office of the Chief Justice, lower courts, for 10,147 newly created positions. Apart from personnel, maintenance and operating expenses have also been slashed. The total would be about 1.34 billion for operations of PhilJA training, MOE for 15 regional court managers, professional services, rent, lease, MOE, and for capital outlay as well, transportation equipment, ICT equipment, intangible assets.
All of those that you've mentioned, Mr. President, are those who were presumably in Tier 2 that were not accepted, or were those...
Yes,
Those
Tier
are all in Tier 2. And those are the aspects of their work that will be affected. I simply wanted to put it on record, but I'm sure that the chair would try to restore some of these important, even if it's in Tier 2, because sometimes the DBM would not, well, they're doing their job, but would not be able to know that there's actually fiscal space, especially since we cut a big chunk from DPWH, more than the 255B from flood control, but even others which don't have coordinates, etc. So there's actually some fiscal space, just to put that on record. And so it would be helpful if the judiciary would be able to prioritize those in Tier 2 in case the chair of the committee, Senator Gatchalian, and the chair of the judiciary budget would consider. That's what I used to do 10 years ago. Thank you. Having said that, Mr. President, I look back, way back in 2008, when the Supreme Court designated 117 environmental courts nationwide to prioritize cases involving environmental protection, but many of these salas remain regular trial courts with added environmental jurisdiction rather than fully equipped specialized courts, highlighting the need to reassess their capacity, the resources, and effectiveness amid today's more complex environmental disputes. So my question is, of these 117 environmental courts almost 20 years ago, how many are still operational, if any? Where are they located? And do they handle exclusively environmental cases? Or are they mostly regular trial courts with added environmental jurisdiction? And how will these courts, if they're operational and doing their jobs as such, be affected by these budget cuts?
There are still 120 designated environmental courts, and they are situated in different regions of the country. Are all regions represented? Nationwide. So all regions have environmental courts.
Are these regional trial courts with added environmental cases, or are there already dedicated environmental courts, Mr. President?
It would be additional
Additional
caseload. Yes.
Have we not contemplated on having dedicated environmental courts, Mr. President? I brought this up in my first term, in my second term, I'm on my fourth term,
Yeah, but-
and I think it would be helpful amid so many environmental cases, the rising environmental cases related to flood control issues, related to climate action.
Yes, in fact, they have created, or they have assigned exclusive, but this is not on environment, but the flood control scandal. They
I'm
have-
referring to not only flood control, but environmental
Yes,
cases
and in doing so,
on pollution.
they can actually add more courts to handle environmental cases. So if that was in 2008 and it was 120, maybe they should add more.
Are they adding additional court? Are we saying this prospectively, or are there existing dedicated exclusive environmental courts?
No, there are no dedicated
Not yet.
exclusive environmental courts.
Yes.
What they have done, and my understanding is, there are not that many cases for an exclusive court to be created for that purpose. So the existing courts who have other cases that they are handling are able to handle the environmental cases.
We take note of that, Mr. President. Also, way back in 2008, the Supreme Court issued a writ of continuing mandamus on Manila Bay. And even if our justices and those who are present here are probably new, were not yet in the judiciary then, I'm sure they're familiar with this, where 13 government agencies were mandated to clean up, to rehabilitate, and preserve Manila Bay and restore its waters to Class B standards. So 17 years later, compliance remains wanting, in my opinion at least. So may we know, Mr. President, what is the current compliance status of the 13 agencies mandated by the Supreme Court to rehabilitate Manila Bay? Which agencies are lagging the most in meeting the specific directives under this mandamus? And is there a dedicated office, dedicated justice in charge? Because I remember at the time, who was the justice? Velasco. Yeah, at the time, I think Justice Velasco was assigned to oversee that. There has always been like a focal justice for this. So my question is, what is the current compliance status of the 13 agencies to which the mandamus was issued, mandated by the Supreme Court to rehabilitate Manila Bay? And are these agencies actually complying or just ignoring the continuing mandamus? And who is the justice in charge of this, Mr. President?
Yes, according to Justice Villanueva, the new ponente, member in charge rather, is Justice Leonel. And that they have yet to receive the latest update on the compliance of these 13 agencies.
Mr. President, it's been 17 years with the Supreme Court orders a directive to the 13 agencies of government, and I will ask each and every agency that will go through our budget as well